Our next speaker is member of Norwegian Parliament, who is former chair of Standing Committee on Justice and now vice chair of Standing Committee on Labor and Social Affairs. She's also deputy leader of the Norwegian Labour Party, and I wish ask you all to welcome Ms. Hadia Tajik.
Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the invitation to Beit al-Nasr. It's a great pleasure to be here. I've been here a couple of times, but never before have I attended your peace conference, and I very much appreciated the invitation to come here and join your discussions. In my assigned 5 minutes, I'd like to talk about right-leaning populism and the freedom of religion. So I'm not going to talk about virtues, but one of the dangers of today. First, I'd like to share an anecdote with you. Every once in a while, like probably some of you, I have the experience of getting emails filled with anger and sometimes even hatred towards Muslims. And once a man wrote to me a very long email about his fear of ISIS and specifically also his anger towards this mosque. For some reason, he imagined that there was a connection between ISIS and this mosque, because he sometimes drove past this mosque and it was quite big and it could be quite dangerous, he assumed. And I had to reply to him and explain that, dear sir, if ISIS was a threat in Norway to Norwegian society, they would probably be a much bigger threat to this mosque than they would be to you. As Islamic extremists they do hate free thinkers in general, and they're not very kind towards Ahmadis specifically. And his fear was fueled not only by the existence of Islamic extremism as such, but also by the right-wing populism that you do find in society. And it is a fact that the rise of right-leaning populism is one of the most important political developments of the 21st century, especially in Europe and in Western countries. What we do see and have seen through the last few years are anti-elitist sentiments. We've seen anti-Western and anti-democratic rhetoric, and we've seen a rise of protectionism in many countries. Some places to an extent that it is threatening the core values of society and core values of democracy. Populist governments have intensified their efforts to weaken the core liberal institutions, such as the free press, independent civil society, and constitutional courts. And increasingly, they are defining national identity in very exclusionary ethnic and religious terms, and we also see a rise of anti-Semitism. We see an opposition to immigration in general, and especially opposition to immigration from Islamic countries. And we also do see that anti-Muslim ideas and sentiments are serving as a sort of a great unifier among the right-wing political formations. As we do know, for believers, faith provides a sense of identity. It provides a sense of belonging. And restricting religious freedom, it isolates and excludes people. But religious liberty is not just a liberty that you can be granted or denied by a person. It is a human right. We do, however, know that religious minorities are among the world's most vulnerable people, especially in situations of conflict. We see this all over the world. We see this when it comes to Rohingyas in Myanmar. We see that, when it comes to Yazidis in Iraq, Christian minorities in the Middle East, Shia Muslims in South Asia, but not least, we see it in how things are developing in some Western countries. The persecution of religious believers has become an increasingly tragic fact in today's world, and believers do face serious discrimination and restrictions something that Ahmadiyya communities have experienced all over the world, being perceived as too Muslim for the right-wing populists and not Muslim at all for many Muslim communities. And we do see the systematic mistreatment of individuals and groups as a response to their religious belief or affiliation. And we do see religious persecution as a threat to everyone. Now, in 2018, 70 years after the adoption of the Declaration of Human Rights, now this is simply not acceptable. The development we've seen when it comes to hate crimes in several European countries is a development that is a danger not only to the individual that is experiencing the hate crime, it's a danger to the whole communities, and it is a danger to society as such. So hate crimes must be reported, and the police must have the knowledge and experience to both identify and investigate such crimes. But even more so, we have to make sure that our kids grow up in a society where facts are not presented as fake news, and that fake news are not presented as facts, because all of this is a pretext for populism and a pretext for hatred. Now, this urges all of us, when we do experience that some people seem to believe that there is a connection between being Muslim and being an Islamic extremist, sending a hateful email, or making a hateful comment, to do reply and explain the difference. These are obligations of conscience, and if anything, history teaches us the urgent need to foster respect and protection for the rights of all people to practice their faith. Now, this is a very important seminar. I do hope that your discussions will be fruitful and inspiring. I appreciate very much that you did invite me and that you allowed me to speak for these assigned minutes and allowed me to share this evening with you. Thank you so much.